Hi, Dan. I just moved in next door. I'm a supermodel.
I don't care who the IRS sends, I am not paying taxes.
Come take a walk with me while we talk about deities and deity work. My name is Frankie. I'm a practicing folk witch and dual faith practitioner, a devotee of Diana, and for a large portion of my practice, I centered deities and deity work and considered myself a neo-pagan. If you're new here, welcome, and let's talk about what deity work and worship is and how to tell if it's right for you. Deity work and worship are two terms meaning similar but different things. Deity worship means offering things to and venerating a deity as a means of devotion, while deity work can refer to integrating that divine entity into spells, asking things from them, so on and so forth. How you classify these terms depends wholly on the practitioner. I know people who only use one term, but do things that I would consider both and vice versa. So how do you know if working with deities is right for you? If you feel a pull to the god/goddess or divine entity, want to ask their assistance in a spell that they rule over, or overall just feel called to them, you are welcome to try deity work. You do not need to be claimed or have a deity reach out to you to create an altar for them or ask them for things. But what does being called to a deity feel like? We can sit here and debate what that means, but what matters is if you feel like you are being called to them, if you feel like they are presenting you with signs. Here's some great YouTube videos, including my own, that discuss deity work and worship and what that can look like as a practitioner. As someone who constantly gets asked for tips on how to level up your practice and advance your witchcraft, I wanted to make a little video with my biggest tip for doing just that. Stop treating your herbs, candles, and other items in your practice as just tools or resources to help get you what you want, and begin recognizing that they have spirits that can be worked with. Every plant has the capability of being a teacher to us. Your needle and your thread have ways of helping you literally create magic. Everything, the wax in your candle, the threshold of your home, the door that keeps you safe, the food you eat, has a spirit that can be worked with and asked for assistance. This is a teaching that I am still working on learning and actively integrating every day. But in reality, I don't think a lot of witches slow down and think about what their practice could be and what it could look like if they were in relation with the world around them, instead of just moving through it. Know that this is a path that also requires us to give those spirits autonomy. They are allowed to say no to helping us. But then also think about what it looks like and what it feels like when you get a yes.
You knows I get my pip. Wait.
The Tower card in the tarot is a notorious scary card. I have been a tarot reader for about 7 years now, and I am a professional reader, which means I do it for a job at my local metaphysical shop. So let's talk a little bit about the Tower card, what it means, and why people find it so upsetting. So since I don't have a Rider-Waite deck on hand, this is the Tower. This is what it looks like. Looking at the imagery, it's got lightning, it's got fire, it's got people falling off a building. It definitely is a very foreboding, scary card. So the thing about the Tower that I find so interesting is that it means upheaval, foundations shifting and changing and falling apart. It very often means chaos in a lot of different ways. I actually group the tarot in with a couple other cards that I refer to as change cards in my reading. Those cards include Death, the Tower, and Judgment. The reason that I group all of these cards together is because after 7 years of reading, I see them appearing when someone is about to go through a shift or a change. I often see death when someone is about to go through a rebirth or a transformation, maybe one that they saw coming or maybe one that is unexpected. I see judgment as a call to become a better self, to stop judging ourselves and others, to be reborn in a lot of ways that feels good. And I also see the Tower as the type of change that we never expect. It's always a surprise, it's always really chaotic, and it's always a transition period. But while the Tower represents all those things that are really scary, it also represents our foundations shifting. And I think also as I've gotten older, I've had a lot of Tower moments. I've had a lot of situations where I looked around me and go, oh yeah, shit's falling apart right now. But I ended up okay. And I ended up in a better place than I was before because the Tower, the foundation, everything came down and I got to build again. I love talking about the Devil card. It's another notorious quote-unquote scary card when we look at the imagery, but we can break it down a little bit further. Hi, I'm Frankie. I've been a tarot reader for 7 years and I do it professionally at my local metaphysical shop. So let's talk a little bit more about the Devil card, which looks like this. I've heard a lot of different meanings for the Devil card in my years as a tarot reader, one of which is indulgence or addiction, sometimes being chained to something that we don't like. But I actually think that there are two ways to read this card, the Devil card. One of which is approaching it through the lens of the Christian devil, what Christians believe the devil is, and sin and kind of that concept. The other way we can approach it is through the concept of the folkloric devil and what that means in traditional witchcraft and how the devil has appeared as a folkloric character throughout history. So I typically like to read it in the concept of the folkloric devil because I am a witch. And so when I see the Devil card, I typically think of things that we do that we enjoy that others may see as indulgent or sinful. Now, can this card appear when someone genuinely has something like an addiction or someone in the family with an addiction and that's a problem? Yes. But typically, I tend to see it in readings where someone isn't doing enough of the things that feel good to them. They're a little too worried about what other people around them are going to think about them. And they're a little worried of judgment that could be passed upon them by doing those things. The Devil card still serves as a warning to do those things, but not overindulge. But when we think a little bit more about the Christian devil versus the folkloric devil, the Christian devil is always kind of looking at the construct of the devil through a really negative lens. He represents evil and sin, and he is temptation. The folkloric devil still kind of represents temptation, but he's a little bit more of a helpful character, and he's really important in a lot of traditional witchcraft practices. Is the devil a scary card? Sure. I think that it can mean a lot of different things, and I typically will read it depending on the cards around it. If I'm looking at it in the context of a work reading, I'm more likely to lean towards it being something where they're chained to something that makes them unhappy and they need to break free and do things that feel good to them. If I'm reading in the context of, a love reading, I would be a little bit more worried about that relationship dynamic, once again, depending on the surrounding cards. But it really kind of depends on how you look at it, how you read it, and your experience with the card itself. Whenever I'm feeling disconnected from my practice, I find myself turning to the small rituals. The mundane infused with magic, the spiritual upkeep, routine, and the ways in which everything we do has the opportunity to be a spell. Your rest is an offering, your breath an offering, your movement, your hope is an offering. Return to the spirits who have held you time and time again. Find ritual and routine. Pour blessings into your coffee. Anoint your hands with oil. Fumigate. Feed your spirits. Allow yourself to slow, then begin again, step by step. What does mundane infused with magic look like for you? What are the small spells that you can tend to and bring into your life on a day-to-day basis? And how can you make that accessible for what you can do right now? Here's your daily reminder that sometimes spells and magical workings don't work the way you expect. Perhaps this is a controversial opinion, but I don't believe that an unexpected outcome makes you a bad practitioner. There are doors everywhere. We can find the key, but not always decide which one it unlocks. Sometimes the outcome we desire is not the path of least resistance. Sometimes it is not the best way forward. And sometimes the unknown and unexpected path is the one that is more fruitful.
So, we had a conversation on the way home. Should I stop my birth control? Because my career still feels small in the
Good day, I'm Bob the Necromancer, and today we're doing an unboxing.